everyone, it's Sabrina. I am going to put together the start of June 2024 in my 6x8 Project Life album. I absolutely love putting together this project and I'm excited to share the next part with you. I am starting June with a collage of photos. I generally like to start with one main photo or a collage of photos or something that represents the month. And June was a very busy month as it was the start of summer. So I decided to kind of pick the highlights, and I went with a photo of my daughter, my son, my husband and I, and then a really special photo of my daughter with her librarian, plus an outdoor photo. So it kind of encompasses everything that's going to go on in June. I took one of the 3x4 vellums, and you saw me cut that down so that way I could use it as a mat for that chipboard that says June 2024. So I'm going with yellows and greens and just trying to keep it very simple, and because that's how I like to keep my opening pages, very simple. But I did decide that I felt like I needed a border down at the bottom, and I thought, you know what, this is my project, I'm gonna make that border. And I knew, I've done this before, and I don't remember how I did it exactly before. I'm assuming I used pieces of paper, but this time I thought I would be super clever and use some washi tape. So you're gonna see me get out the washi tape in a little bit, and it's not gonna go so well, and it's not gonna make me feel so clever. But I start off with a sticker that says "Thankful for this goodness." It came in the kit as far as I know, but it is a very, very bright green, and it doesn't really match with anything in the kit, so that's why I wasn't sure if it came in this particular kit. I don't know, because the kit that I have that I'm using is from June 2024, and that one has more blues and yellows and reds, not this super bright green. I don't know. So this is where I get out the stamp set, and it's the latest subscription stamp set from Ali Edwards, and it has a ton of different words down at the bottom, typewriter type words. So I take the washi tape and I lay it down across the page, again thinking I'm very clever and that this is such a great idea and much better than paper. No, it's not gonna be. It's really not. So I stamp in those two colors, and I just pick out different phrases like beautiful, hello, currently, and then I'm gonna peel off the tape, and once I peel off the tape I wind up tearing one of the photos. Now I had decided the other day to trim some photos in a different location in my house and forget that I had done that. So I wound up reprinting these photos for a second time, and that's also kind of why my video's late too, because I couldn't start the project since I was determined to figure out where I left these photos. But I guess it worked out, because once I peel up this tape, I do tear a photo. So having those extra set of photos kind of saved me. Even though I was totally frustrated with myself that I lost the photos, that I'm using this washi and I'm not so clever and I'm tearing things. But you know what? I'm sticking with it. I am sticking with this border, and I'm going to keep going with it. I'm also sticking with the washi tape because I figure, you know what? It's not on photos this time, so it should be okay. No, it's not okay. It wound up tearing on this too once I got done stamping. I think I've stamped before directly on this type of paper. It is the hammer mill type of paper, but I don't know if I've ever used washi on it and then pulled it up. I can't remember. But note to self for future projects, do not put washi tape on this type of paper because it will tear. I also changed the direction of my stamps. At first, I thought I might just do it like diagonal, but I decided to just go with it sideways. And I think it looks all right. It's just something a little different. And the phrases I picked were memories, loving, details. And again, I tore at the top. So what I'm going to do is just glue it down, call it good, and move on. Because I am not starting over with this project. You guys know that I do my best to try to fix, the mistakes, the boo-boos, as little kids say, or teachers say. So yeah, I'm just going to keep chugging along. And I have this next section that I'm doing. And again, I try to pick different phrases that I haven't used already. So like this one, I picked, aw, yeah, loving. And I just repeat it and keep going. And I'm loving it. It's subtle enough that it doesn't take away from the photos. And I only did like maybe half an inch on all the different sides. So it's just a little something to add something to my page, and I love it. I was looking through my stamps and trying to decide which one should I use, and then I picked this one since I haven't had a chance to use this particular stamp set for a full project yet. I did use the digital version in my Week in the Life album with the frames, so that was fun to use, but I haven't really used the words. So on the side that has the hole punches, I put recorded and the story, and it looks fantastic. It looks great. You can't even tell I tore the paper up at the top, and again I was able to replace the photo of my daughter, so it all worked out. And I decided up at the top that I'll add another really long word phrase sticker. This time I picked sharing stories together, and I don't know if I said the one at the bottom, but the one at the bottom is thankful for this goodness. So fabulous project. It's a great, easy way to kick off the month and how I'm going to tell my stories, even though June is honestly stumping me a little bit because there is so many photos. Like, I don't want to have to do every single photo because that doesn't really make sense, obviously, right? But I also want to tell a lot of the stories because it is part of our summer. So I did know that I was starting off with an opening page, and I think this is week 22. So I know that, and I also know that for week 23 and 24, I'm going to do a fun project using the fun kit from Ellie Edwards. I know that much, and I know like there's certain stories like going to the beach and hiking with my husband. Those are obvious stories, but you know, once I think about all the stories for June, it becomes a big list. So after I get done with this, I'm going to need to have some thinking time on how to figure out June. For now, I have this grid. I thought I would continue the square photos, this time a little bit smaller, and I picked out a few items that I really wanted to try to use. One of them was this giant currently die cut, and what I wanted to do with it is use it as a way to do a bullet point list, and I wound up with like 2 extra spaces in my grid, and I thought, why don't I just put it up at the top and do something different with my grid, because I don't think I've ever done that before. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the top 2 spaces blank and put the currently there. I also love this 3x4. I'm going to make it 3x4. 4x6 vellum that says more outside and less inside. So I'm going to cut that, and it's going to look fantastic. And I also have the striped 4x6 vellum that I'm going to turn into a border for my page because I love using stripes to just add in all the colors, and especially since my photos have a lot of different colors in them, they work. This striped paper works great, and I'm glad that I could use some of the sun embellishments in this particular Stories by the Month kit. There's a lot of sun graphics. I know I mentioned that earlier when I was talking about the colors, but there is a 4x6 sun print. I think I had even pulled out a sun die cut on the right hand side, but I'm gonna wind up not using it. It's just the faces of the sun, I guess they're kind of throwing me off. I'm not sure, but I want to see if I can figure out how to use more of the suns. So I have a chipboard over on the bottom left-hand side that says details from this season, and I used a 3x4 card that had kind of a sun that was setting, and I just trimmed it down so that way it could be a sun and then the chipboard matted right on top. So I love it. I feel like that was a clever idea with my vellum as well. I've talked about it before, but these Stories by the Month kits, they started in 2024 last year with all the vellum. And I feel like I'm just adding more and more ideas of how can I use vellum in a creative way in my project. And I feel like I'm doing a great job. That's probably a video I could make. So if you guys are interested, I'd love if you'd leave a comment and let me know. I can discuss different ways to use vellum in Project Life. So I just took my 7 by 8.25 paper, laid down the striped paper, and I kind of turned it so that way you can get a glimpse of all the colors, and I just glued it down and then trimmed off the pieces that I didn't need. Then I grabbed a 3x4 blank piece of paper and I put a thicker strip on the left-hand side of that particular card. So that way both sides have the striped paper and they both have, that continuity of lots of different colors. And I mentioned that I had like a pink die cut on that 3x4 card, but I felt like it wasn't going to give me enough room for my journaling. So I had set aside another chipboard that was red with a sun, like a smiling sun, a blushing sun. I don't know, but I'm going to wind up using that. And I feel like that was a better choice because it's also a bright red piece that ties well with the currently die cut. But first, I'm going to fill out this currently die cut. What I wanted to do on this particular journaling spot is focus more on summer and how summer is starting. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see I have my journal out, my Hobonichi cousin. So I just say that summer started on June 5th. The local pool opened and my daughter and I went there. We celebrated National Donut Day. My husband and I got several house projects done, including cleaning fans and grapevine trimming. And I said that summer is off to a great start. And pulling all these notes from my journal is just so helpful. So helpful. So I thought about taking that sun die cut and just trimming off the top and kind of tilting it at a diagonal, but I wasn't sure about it because I felt like with the bold print on it, it was just kind of taking away from the spread, but this chipboard piece worked out better. I don't know. Maybe it's just me analyzing all the suns in this kit. I don't know. Some of these suns are just like bam in your face. So I decided to go with this one. Works much better. And I had this little bit of awkward space to the right of the chipboard, so I used a Tombow and a thicker pen to write out more stories. And I'm just going to do a bullet point list with this particular journaling spot. So I just listed out things like celebrated my birthday, my son started training for work, I started organizing Legos, which was my big summer project, and spoiler alert, I did not finish it and I kind of gave up because no one was helping me. I wonder if I'll try it again this summer. Probably not. But anyways, I took the kids to the park and a heat wave was coming, and I also wrote that I thought it was going to be a really hot summer, and it was. 2024 was incredibly hot for summer. And then as a family, we were watching America's Got Talent. So, and again, all these notes I pulled from my journal. So it's fantastic. It makes things come together super quick and easy. And I absolutely love this spread. I love 6x8, but sometimes it is tricky when there's months where there is a ton of photos. You kind of have to be creative and think outside the box. How are you going to fit all these photos if you want to include all these stories? So that's kind of where I'm at in my planning process, like I mentioned earlier. But this spread turned out bright, colorful, a fantastic way to kick off summer. So I'm putting back in my opening page, which you can see right there. And now I want a divider. I started this when I started the album for the 5th month, May. And so now I'm like, well, I got to do it for every month. I grabbed the first paper that caught my attention, which was kind of a honeycomb yellow vellum. Then I looked in my numbers drawer and I didn't like how the white numbers were getting lost. So I stuck with a cardstock number that I had cut out, I think from a sheet that was from the Mix and Match kit a while back. So it says 6 on it, and I'm going to staple it with a mini stapler twice. I don't know why I didn't just do it directly to the vellum. I think the tiny attacher wouldn't have worked, but I have a start on June, and I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing these pages come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Have a great day. Bye.